Make some noise.
I have a confession to make. I like clowns. I wonder how many people have clicked off given the confession and the title of this video. I guess since I was a kid, I've always liked clown, circus, and carnival-like imagery, as it never scared me. I get the fear with the devious, deceptive nature given the history, etc., don't get me wrong, but I've always had a visceral enjoyment of this type of imagery. Maybe it stems from my love of the Joker, and probably because I've been to a circus before when I was a kid and enjoyed it. The only time clowns scare me is when they're intentionally designed to be scary. Plus, if I was miming in a clown mask, I don't think many people would want to watch my videos, so I settled with this gas mask. That and I already had it lying around. So it was to my surprise, from randomly browsing metal archives, that I would stumble on a band called Carcass, and listening to the only bit of material they had released, finding a copy of it on eBay. I wish I could buy directly from them, but their shop doesn't sell CDs anymore. Did some research on the band and would fall in love with them. Totally unexpected. So who is this band? Carcass is a heavy metal band founded in Illinois in the early 90s by two lifelong friends, Andy Hawes and Michael Vitaco. With a shared love of similar bands from the 70s and 80s, they would play guitar together for as long as their friendship and decided to create a band. This would lead to the birth of Carcass. The duo would create their debut album, Dig the Hole, in 1995, but this album has not been released to the public though. According to their Facebook page, there was mentions of a re-recording, but nothing has come out of this as far as I know at the time of this video's production. As for the original version, the cassette was released to only a select few people. In the aftermath of Dig the Hole's release, the duo would continue working on more songs, but since Carcass wasn't a full-time band, it was put on hold as Hawes and Vitaco went on with their lives. Carcass would start up again in 2010 with the duo reuniting and working on the old songs they wrote and created new ones too. The Clowns That Rock would take their time brewing new tunes, and on October 17th, 2017, they released their sophomore album, Crawl from the Grave. Off the bat, the CD already shows its charm with what looks to be a hand-painted album cover of clowns crawling out of the ground in a graveyard, as well as being on the back cover and on the CD itself with what looks to be a reference to it with the O being portrayed by a red balloon. The font, while consistent, has different colors on the cover and the disc. The Comic Sans in part of the liner notes and the spine, along with the papyrus on the back of the booklet when you first open the jewel case, was definitely done to piss off certain individuals who have a hate boner for those fonts, for valid and petty reasons. As well as pictures of graveyards and various drawings of clowns in the booklet. It's lovably wacky. Plus, no one's posing in those graveyards, so they avoided that cliche. The artwork itself was provided from, I believe, Michael's sister, who's credited in the liner notes. I think the family and friends vibe I get from how this album was made is a factor to why I love this album. It feels like a passion project amongst a close group of people. As stated before, Andy and Michael were the ones to write the music, produce it, perform it, as well as mix it. There are two things I can't fully tell. The first one is who did the mastering, because I'm pretty sure the name is a joke. The other one is the drumming, because while the duo are credited for percussion, I don't know if this applies to the drums too. Andy performs all lead and backing vocals, with Michael providing occasional backing vocals on a few songs. Despite clown being in the name, don't expect anything funny. Given the tone of this album, along with other albums from other bands that feature clowns on the album cover, they could be used as a soundtrack to that W. Maxwell Prince Ha Ha Sad Clown Stories comic series, given how dark the lyrics are. I think you've had enough of me blabbing for 2 paragraphs about the artwork and production. On to the music. Expect my lyrical interpretation skills to be lacking, and expect me to get some lyrical interpretations wrong, because this channel is operated by a self-confessed bonehead. The album starts with Livin' in a Box, an up-tempo metal song with frantic drumming in the chorus. Sonically, it has a new wave of British heavy metal vibe to it. Andy's vocals have conviction to them, while having a roughness to it, and sure, he's not a Dio or a Halford, but he still has conviction and expression in his voice, compared to singers who don't have conviction in their voices. Mike provides a satisfying, shredding guitar solo. Lyrically, it seems to deal with sheltered people who are isolated from the rest of the world, who don't want to know what's going on in the outside world. I get that ignorance is bliss, but this is kind of ridiculous. Whether or not I blame them or not is up for debate. Track 2 is the Sabbath-inspired Final Burn, the same droning guitar riffs during the verses, ramping up in the chorus and after the chorus before returning to the main riff. This song's Andy's show, with him performing bass along with him and Michael performing the guitars. In fact, both of them split bass duties for different songs. The production really helps as all instruments are properly balanced and bass is clear in the mix. It sounds old-fashioned, like if it was done on analog. Andy's vocal conviction really shines here in the verses and chorus with some beautiful vocal harmonies. The song seems to be about a tortured pyromaniac setting things and people on fire before getting detained and locked away. It's pretty dark and borders on being disturbing. Enoch's lament brings up the tempos with a big and bombastic build-up before getting into the chorus, complemented by gruff backing vocals supplied by Mike and dueling guitar solos before the last verse. The lyrics seem to be telling some sort of narrative that I guess has to do with various stories the religious figure Enoch appears in. That's as far as I can tell, as I am not qualified to talk about this, or any topic that largely has to do with any religious imagery. No Solution changes to a high-octane punk-sounding song. Lyrically, it gets political, talking about the start of America in the first verse, the division of social classes in the second verse, and how the country is a mess in the third verse. In between the verses, the chorus, saying there's no solution nor constitution, no middle ground, only revolution. It's cynical, it's fed up, and it's honest. The fact that this was made 5 years ago, and what's happened now is either a weird coincidence, or these clowns predicted the future. You decide, as I will not go into detail because no one here is for politics, nor do I even want to. Moving on... well, sort of. Because Rage continues where No Solution leaves off, with the fast and thrashy guitars and drums. Instead of talking about the country, it talks about people and basically calling them a pox on humanity, and that they fill the band with unrelenting anger, some more justified than others. The political edge appears in the chorus. It's probably the meanest song on this album. Either the rants are understandable and valid, or an okay boomer moment is for you to decide, as I'm expecting either reaction to this song. Then I'm undecided myself where I land. Comments are gonna be interesting. Rain on My Parade takes a Xanax and calms back down to the slower tempos. Sounds like a mix of Iron Maiden meets Black Sabbath. We went from the album's angriest song to its most somber song. Andy's voice shines again on this song with those amazing harmonies complemented by the riffs. I describe the chorus as sort of dreamy, with the simple guitar riffs, groovy drums, and echoing vocals. Before the last verse comes a guitar solo, and combined with the rhythm section sounds groovy and funky. Not a bad combination. The song seems to be from the perspective of a down-on-his-luck guy who feels hopeless. He wants to have a good day, but there's always something stopping him from enjoying his life. Some sad stuff, and I think we've all had those moments one way or another. For All That Grows follows with a slow, groovy, and doomy riff, before ramping up in the verses, and then transitioning into a mid-tempo pace during the choruses. Andy delivers a quick and brash delivery, backed up with the gruff vocals of Michael. The two go back and forth with the guitar solos like they did on Enoch's Lament. The verses go from talking about living things, from plants to animals to natural disasters, complemented by the choruses that could be saying that it's the natural cycle of life, the natural order of things. Life never slows down, and it's what we know until death, and after we die, who knows where we go. Questioning if there's an afterlife or not. Didn't think I'd be getting philosophical with the lyrics on this album from a band that has clown in it. Cool your jet, you pseudo-intellectual prick. It ain't deep. If anything, it's more direct. Whether or not you agree with it or not is up for you to decide. I'm not here to tell you what to think. Psychoanalyticalizationalatorium closes the album out with blazing guitars and drums and the chants of Ole midway through the song. It's like metalized mariachi music. The tempo slowed down near the end of the song before picking up the tempo again and back to the riff before stopping. In the silence, an acoustic solo finishes out the song, and Crawl from the Grave comes to a proper burial. This album is certainly interesting, from the musicianship to the chemistry. It sounds like Andy and Michael were having fun while making this album, and the passion shows from song to song, as well as letting off some steam. I myself had fun listening to it and will continue for years to come. It's hard to say what will come from Clown Carcass next. A few posts they did on their official Facebook page was in 2018 showing them working on new music, so I guess they're working on a follow-up along with the re-recording of Dig the Hole? It's hard to say right now from my research. As of making this video, nothing has shown that the duo are currently working on new music, but one thing's for sure. Whatever these clowns are brewing right now, all I know is whenever they release a new batch of songs, I will be waiting.